What is going on, world? What's up, YouTube? It's Zero here. Today I'm bringing you guys a brand new episode of The 8 Below Show. Welcome everyone to 8 Below. Thanks for being here, guys, to the best entertainment-related show here on YouTube. And I'm super excited about our episode here today. We have a lot of stuff to talk about, so let's get into it. We've been talking on the YouTube channel about Phase 5, guys, the return of Phase 5, the highly anticipated recruitment challenge to one of the biggest gaming teams in the world. And so, guys, I want to talk about, it's back, and that's something that's absolutely incredible. We've heard this before, and then it ends up, ending up not happening, which has been really unfortunate. I'm sure there's a lot of things behind the reasoning why, Phase 5 hasn't come back in a major way. There's probably, it takes a lot of work for the team as a whole to find the right recruits and going through thousands upon thousands of submissions. One of the big things, they made a short video and tweet that states FaZe Clan's official recruitment challenge is returning in 2020. We were all fans once, we are all fans now. Who's next? #Phase 5. And what I think is really cool, guys, is this is being sponsored by none other than Nissan. And I think that's something that kind of gets you to a point where it seems like this is starting to feel more and more real. There was a video that came out a couple of years ago, I believe, that Phase 5 was returning. It was like with FaZe Rain, FaZe Adapt, and I believe FaZe Banks. And they made a video talking about how Phase 5 was going to be a Fortnite-only Phase 5. And then it got deleted shortly after. This is telling us that I believe it's kind of making it official that Phase 5 is coming in 2020, which I think is absolutely awesome. The question is when in 2020? Are we talking like the summer of 2020, which makes the most sense in my opinion, or maybe later on in the year? I think that people in the summer, obviously, as just gamers in general, you're out of school in the summer, and it's the perfect time to be able to just put a lot of time into something like Phase 5. And so I think that they might do it in the summer. Maybe they'll do it some other time later on. It's hard to say. I know they're probably not in a huge rush. They certainly, that being FaZe, have not been in a huge rush to bring back Phase 5 as it is. But I'm glad to see that it's coming back. I mean, this is going to be a huge opportunity for really anyone in the community who wants a chance at joining one of the biggest gaming teams in the world. It's a great opportunity. I've made multiple videos stating, guys, on the YouTube channel that we're going to be going for Phase 5 this time around. And we're also, I think it's going to be a great opportunity. I also gave you guys kind of the top 5 things that I want to see in the Phase 5 recruitment challenge. You guys can check those videos out on the YouTube channel. But I'm going to have more and more Phase 5 videos as we go. Obviously, some updates when things, as we get further information and getting closer and closer as we go to the release of this recruitment challenge. And I'm excited to go for it. And I hope all of you guys will be as well. It's a great opportunity to go for one of the biggest gaming teams in the world. But let me know, guys, are you going to be going for Phase 5? Let me know in the comment section below. And for more Phase 5 content and videos, stay here with Zero TV. Far Cry is one of those franchises, guys, that I have enjoyed thoroughly. I've always thought that there were, a number of ways that Ubisoft could kind of progress the series forward, and I think they've done a lot of the things that I've wanted personally. I mean, there was, obviously different landscapes, different environments that we can explore in Far Cry, and then adding even multiplayer and co-op modes, that being like in Far Cry 5. And I think that now we're starting to get to a pretty good direction, in my personal opinion, with the franchise, because it's starting to feel like a more well-rounded ordeal, or I should say more of a just well-rounded game and full package to this, the first-person shooter genre. And so what I want to go ahead and talk about in this segment of the show, guys, is about Far Cry 6, in particular, why this game should exist. I think it obviously is within development at this point, hasn't been announced as of yet, but I think one of the big reasons, guys, that Far Cry 6 should exist is because this is a series that is starting to grow every single game as time has gone here. Some people, regardless of whether you like Far Cry 5 or you hate Far Cry 5, it has grown the franchise in a tremendous way. Even Far Cry New Dawn, they have kind of progressed the series forward. Sure, New Dawn didn't do as well as the main installments, but I don't think it's meant to. It's meant to be kind of a side story to that of the main Far Cry franchise, kind of like Far Cry Primal. Far Cry 6 would progress the series. I think one thing that needs to happen, in my opinion, is, we see the progression of more characters as well as villains and seeing those villains at the forefront. We've talked about this on a number of occasions with Far Cry in particular. I think they've done a really good job with their villains, but at the same time, I think that there's even more ways that you can end up ultimately, even making them feel more real to us by putting them on screen a lot more. And so I think that's another way in which, they can kind of progress with Far Cry 6. Far Cry 6 would, not only be, continuing the franchise and move it forward, but it would also continue, hopefully building upon what, the successes of Far Cry 5 and would kind of go into a completely new realm, new environments, and somewhat of a completely new story. And I think it could progress the series forward by building the fan base, building the lore, the story of Far Cry. And it could also continue building upon the co-op modes, multiplayer modes, the full package that could be Far Cry 6. And I think that's something that could be really special, guys, moving forward here. I want to see Ubisoft, not so much take a ton of risks or unnecessary risks. I would love to see new places to go. Maybe different, other time periods, right? Maybe even like slightly futuristic, maybe modern day, a Far Cry game. But I would love to see them kind of put more emphasis on the multiplayer aspects, because first-person shooters, guys, we know do extremely well when it comes to the multiplayer side of things. And I think that if you were to do that with Far Cry and Far Cry 6, I believe that it could actually be a really big, game as a whole. And there would be a pretty big community around simply the, simply behind playing multiplayer. It brings you back to the game, and it brings you back and playing with your friends and such. And it kind of continues what, after beating the campaign once or twice, you're going to want other ways to connect with the franchise. I think that's one of the most important ways is through multiplayer aspects, but even co-op as well, having ways you can play with your friends. And I think that would be absolutely awesome as well. Far Cry 6, guys, would continue the story, continue the lore. It could build upon the successes and even, kind of learn from some of the failures of Far Cry 5 and some of the other previous installments in the franchise. And so I think that it could kind of build upon a number of these things. Now, obviously, Far Cry 6 hasn't been announced as of yet, guys. Pretty much, Ubisoft has stated that they named a number of games that are going to be coming out, so some of their flagship franchises like Watch Dogs, as well as Rainbow Six Quarantine, and then, of course, Assassin's Creed Valhalla. And there was still one that they hadn't mentioned, and everyone believes that it's to be Far Cry 6, because it was already, they said, one of their biggest, franchises, and we could say maybe Splinter Cell, but most likely it's not, because Splinter Cell is not quite as big as Far Cry. So Far Cry 6, guys, most likely we'll be hearing more information this year. Hopefully it comes out in the next year or two. But it'll be interesting, to say the least, where the environments as such are going to go. But why it should exist, guys, is for all those reasons I just mentioned. It would continue everything that they're building here, the legacy of Far Cry. But let me know, guys, in the comment section below, what do you guys want to see in Far Cry 6? Do you think it should exist, or do you think the series should end with Far Cry New Dawn? Let me know what you guys think, and for more Far Cry 6 content and videos, stay here with Zero TV. The Witcher has become a flagship franchise in all of gaming. I don't think there's any debate about it. CD Projekt Red have created something really special with the Witcher franchise, and I think a lot of us are wondering, where's the series going to go from here, especially with the recent success of The Witcher, a Netflix series, and of course The Witcher 3. And so that being said, I want to talk to, in this segment of the show, guys, about The Witcher 4 and everything that we want in the, to come out of this game. And when I say we, I'm talking about myself here. I'll be the only one giving the opinion, but I know some of you are going to share similar opinions as myself. And for those of you who don't, let me know in the comment section below everything that you want to see in The Witcher 4. So let's get into it. So guys, The Witcher, I think, like I said, it's really become a flagship, game and series within all of gaming. And I think CD Projekt Red, they are trying to kind of up their, just their prestige as a company by going ahead and doing Cyberpunk 2077 and, coming off of course, The Witcher 3 and, then of course the successes of the Witcher Netflix series. I think that there's a lot of question marks whether or not The Witcher is going to come back. I think it definitely should, especially with the recent success of the Witcher Netflix series. But with Cyberpunk 2077, that's the next game, of course, by CD Projekt Red. They haven't announced or, given us the indication that The Witcher 4 is definitely going to happen, but they definitely said that they have not forgotten about The Witcher. And so with that, I think one of the big things that I want, guys, and I want somewhat of a new story. I think that with The Witcher 3, I enjoyed where the story went and such, but Geralt, I think, him and his, his story arc and all of those things, I believe personally that, I think it's time to for him to pass the torch onto another character, right? And I think in The Witcher 4, Geralt maybe is a side character, but he's not like the main character. He's not the playable character. I think it's time to see, us move in the direction where he's kind of passing the torch onto another character, and that next character kind of progresses the series forward. Think about it like this: we've had 3 Witcher games, so it's kind of like Geralt's trilogy, and then now we can move onwards. Not that he's going anywhere. Maybe he is, maybe he's not, but I do think that it's time to start getting some new characters into the fray in The Witcher 4. So that'd be kind of like the first thing for me, guys. Obviously, I'd love to have some new landscapes, some new environments. Obviously, I want it to stay very similar to the core mechanics and gameplay of The Witcher, because that's what's made it so special. But I'd like to see them go, CD Projekt Red that is, go in a direction where we have some new environments, some new places that we can explore and really dive into more of the lore and story of The Witcher, right? And so I would love to see new environments. That would be kind of number 2 for me, new environments and new areas to explore, obviously. At number 3, guys, for me, I think that it would be really great to have a number of multiple, playable characters, not just one playable character, but multiple. And that would bring into effect like the possibility of co-op and having co-op and being able to play with your friends in the, in a single player story or just a campaign in general that could be, turned into a co-op campaign. Because up to this point, guys, we've had these stories that are incredible stories, but, they're single-player campaigns. And then you've got, on top of that, you, of course, have DLC that comes out, which is great. More ways you can connect with it, that being the franchise. But I think the issue is, for me, is having co-op gives you more reason to come back to the story, to play with your friends and such, and do different things within that world. That brings me into number 4, which is multiplayer. And look, this is going to be kind of controversial. I mean, I've always been a believer that any game out there could also have multiplayer modes on top of having a single player story. I think of God of War. I think of a number of different games, guys, that sure, they're great stories, but at the end of the day, they could also be primed to be a multiplayer experience, and it could continue building upon the lore and the story that, of what they kind of started. These companies have started here. And look, with Cyberpunk 2077, they're going to be obviously launching, Cyberpunk 2077 with, simply a story, a campaign. But later on, they're going to be adding multiplayer. And I think that's a really smart decision. And I think they should do the same exact thing with The Witcher 4. You bring out that story, then you start adding other things like multiplayer, co-op modes. And I think that just really helps build upon the legacy and the lore and the fan base of The Witcher. Next, guys, another big thing that would probably be also somewhat controversial because, there'd be a lot of question marks here, but making The Witcher 4 free to play, I think would be very interesting. Look, the franchise has grown in a drastic way, right? It's very large at this point, but I really think, especially with multiplayer modes and co-op modes, there would be those opportunities to potentially make this game free to play, or at least the multiplayer aspects free to play. But it would be very interesting to see how well The Witcher 4 would do based on a free to play model that has like customization, and especially with multiple different playable characters and things of that nature, you could have a lot of customization and, monetization tactics, which obviously we don't like monetization, but at the end of the day, guys, when you look at microtransactions as a whole, the microtransactions and the tactics that come in there, a lot of times we don't like it, but we accept it if it's a free-to-play game. And so I think that would be something that we would support the developers. Obviously, if they were to make a project as big as The Witcher 4, I think that obviously we would support that in a major way. Now, is it realistic? Probably not. They're probably going to want to get the $60, per copy for The Witcher 4. They're not going to want to take that unnecessary risk, but I would love to see a free-to-play Witcher 4 game with, of course, having the added multiplayer and co-op modes. So all in all, guys, those are the main things that I'm kind of looking for. Look, I'm looking at, I feel like there's so much more in this universe, in this world to explore. And so I want like differences. I want kind of some change. Obviously, I don't want them to go, totally, like across the left field kind of thing. I want them to keep it like, the mechanics, the gameplay, the same as The Witcher, the past 3 entries. But I think having some differences that is showing us that they're moving in, they're continuing the legacy, but they're kind of moving in a different direction, whether that's with new characters, having a multiplayer co-op modes, and things of that nature, I think are just going to be really, really important moving forward. But let me know, guys, in the comment section below, what do you guys want to get out of The Witcher 4, and what are all the things that you guys want to see in The Witcher 4? Let me know in the comment section below, and for more The Witcher 4 content and videos, stay here with Zero TV. One of the most highly anticipated games from Rockstar has been Bully 2, the much anticipated sequel to the original Bully game that came out. And I think that people out there are really hoping to see a continuation of this franchise. But it's been, pretty much confirmed at this point that Rockstar Games was in development with Bully 2, but then they had creative differences, or they kind of felt that they didn't really see where it was going as far as the story is concerned and such, and so they canceled the title. And so with that, I want to talk today in this last segment of the show about Bully 2 and why this game should exist. So let's talk about it. Guys, I would love to hear your guys' thoughts about this in particular. If you guys think that Bully 2 should come out, if it should not come out, I'd love to hear in the comment section below. But to start here, guys, one of the big things that I think kind of set Bully apart was it's very unique. It's different. It was a different kind of title, and I think that made it somewhat special. I think that in all, guys, this series, or I really should say just this game, single game, Bully, when I played it, I didn't like it that much. I thought it was okay, right? But I know that it had a real big following of people that really enjoyed Bully. And so what I'm getting at is, number one, one of the big reasons why it should exist is because there's a fan base behind it. And so it should exist because, look, there's a following here. And obviously, if there's creative differences over at Rockstar, or they just didn't see where the story was going, I would understand why they would move on to something else. But I think that this should at least get a chance. Bully 2 should have a chance, at least to see the light of day, see what happens in a Bully 2. And if it's not that great, well, guess what? You still have the original Bully, and, then they can kind of say we're done with this IP. I just think that it's an IP that still has a pretty solid fan base. So that's kind of number one. Number two is, guys, look, this game came out a while ago, that being Bully, and I think it's time. We know that Rockstar takes their time with each of their, games, but I think it's important that with Bully, they could, without a doubt, with the updated graphics, next generation of consoles and things of that nature, could drastically improve the experience of Bully in a major way. And I think that Bully 2, maybe they didn't want it to be super, they wanted to be controversial, but they thought it would actually like hurt the title. Every one of their titles, guys, has controversy, and we all know this, but maybe Bully 2, they were thinking this is just going to have way too much. It's going to be way over the top. It's hard to say, but I think that Bully 2, at the end of the day, should see the light of day, because this is, like I said, very different. I think the updated graphics would be something, something really special to witness. And we know Rockstar up to this point, have done an incredible job really raising the bar with their different titles as far as the graphics are concerned. The next thing, guys, is what else is Rockstar thinking about working on? So obviously we've got Red Dead Redemption 2, which was absolutely incredible in my opinion. You got GTA 6, which is allegedly going to be the next thing coming out. And then what's after that, though? Are we talking Max Payne 4, which I think is probably what's going to be coming out next if Bully 2 doesn't come out? But other than that, you got LA Noire. Are they going to make an LA Noire 2? Maybe. I don't think that fan base is as big as Bully's. I might be wrong about that, but I feel like Bully's fan base is bigger than that of LA Noire's. You also got Manhunt. You've got a number of different games out there, but I don't think they're going to come back with a Manhunt. I think that it's hard to say whether or not they're going to come out with an LA Noire 2. I would like to see it, but I just don't know if that is something that's going to happen. And Max Payne, it makes sense because Max Payne's probably the next one up as far as having the biggest fan base outside of GTA as well as Red Dead Redemption. So Max Payne might be next. But I think that maybe, just because they canceled what they were currently working on with Bully 2 doesn't necessarily mean that they would never come back to it in the future. So if you're a big Bully fan, guys, I don't think that you should write it off just yet, saying that it's never going to come out. Because I think there's a possibility. It comes down to the fan base at the end of the day, us voicing our opinion that we want this game made. And then a lot of times the developers will actually listen to those if there's a big enough movement around it. So the next thing is, guys, is Bully 2 would kind of continue the legacy and the lore and such, the story of Bully. I think a lot of us want to see where this story would end up going, from one extreme to the next and kind of just seeing where the story could possibly go. I know they were talking about maybe going to college or something in Bully 2, but ultimately, I really think that they have something special here. And maybe it just isn't supposed to be as extreme as the first one. Maybe it's supposed to be more extreme. Maybe they just don't have the story together in a way in which they feel confident. But the fact of the matter is that they were working on it, that being Rockstar Games. And so I think that gives you some hope that, okay, they were working on it. It's still in the back of their minds. So there's a good chance that maybe, just maybe, they'll bring it out at a later date. But that being said, guys, it's all speculation at this point. Why it should exist, though, are for all those reasons I just mentioned. And I think having like co-op modes, having some multiplayer modes, some very unique things that you can maybe do with this franchise moving forward. Like I said, it would kind of continue that story, continue the lore, and continue building the fan base of Bully, which, like I said, has been growing at a rapid rate ever since the original Bully came out. But let me know, guys, in the comment section below, do you guys want to see a Bully 2? And if you do, let me know what you guys want to see in it. And do you think it should exist, or do you think it shouldn't exist? Let me know what you guys think. And for more Bully 2 content and videos, stay here with Zero TV. And with that being said, everyone, I hope you guys did enjoy this episode of the 8 Below Show. And if you guys did, leave a thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, stay positive, and as always, I'll talk to you guys all in the next one. Peace.